let's take a moment and talk about the SharePoint Online and the feature called Flow. We are sitting here in the document library, and currently, unless there was a workflow attached, the administrator or whoever was to do the approvals in this library would not know unless they came here and actually saw that something was pending. Now, with that said, they could do an alert on this library, and then the alert would send an email. But let's do this. Let's put one of these into pending. So we'll take this demo document, and I am only going to change the properties. Now that should force it to see pending as the status. Now let's take this to the new modern experience. We're going to go to our library ribbon and library settings, down to advanced, and all the way down at the very bottom, I could just say use the default for the site, which happens to be the modern, or I could say new. I'm going to use the default. And back to documents. So now this is the new look and feel, and in the new look and feel, we do have this option. Now I'm going to use the drop down, and we have a couple of choices. I'm going to create a flow diagram. Now, what exactly do you want to do? Notice, when a new file is added, I could send an email, or I could request a manager's approval for a selected file, or request approval in Teams if I have Teams configured, or request a team for the selected items. Now, there are more, and the list is fairly substantial, and it is going to be really up to the owner which one of these suits what he or she needs. But I'm going to select this one. Now this will take just a moment to open, and it says welcome, because this is the first time we have used it. So we're going to select Canada, and I don't want promotional emails. So let's get started. And you can see it is working. Now, this is what we're asking. Now, we don't want this. We're asking for SharePoint to let us know that there is a new file. Now, this flow will send a request to the manager for the file, and the manager can view and approve the request. Now, it will appear in the approval center, and this is basically what can or will happen. SharePoint and users will upload or modify. Approvals are part of it. Email is part of it, and notifications are also part of it. So let's create the flow. Now it is still working on it. So the status of this is on. I could change that. And when it was created, and when it, or if it was modified, and who the owner is, and it's going to happen instantly. And how will I know if it's run? Because I can come in here and actually review when it ran. Now, and do I want to share this? I could share this. Now, I also have different choices across the top, turning things on or turning things off. And I can see approvals here. I could create a new one. Now let's go back here and make another change. Now, this one was done before I added the flow. So let's go ahead and make a change here. And we're going to just look at the properties and change the properties. And we'll change that to the word number 2. Now let's refresh. And it shows as pending. Now let's go back here to the flows. Going to refresh a couple of times. And let's go to my flows. And there is one, and it was modified a minute ago. And hasn't been run yet. So it does take a moment. So I'm going to pause and we'll be back. Now, we have waited about 10 minutes. And remember, we were supposed to be advised via this. Now, note, within this environment, which is a trial environment, I do not have email configured. So it is not actually going to send me an email, but I should be able to go into my workflows or my flows, and this is the one that we just set up. I should be able to click here and see that it has actually run. But if you go to this process here, which we did see earlier, and it says it's going to do this Outlook, and it is in an error state because part of this is all complete or none complete. So this is the issue. Now, the rest are fine. It says, yes, you have what you need to have, and it's all good. Valid connection, and I've been authenticated. But notice it is in a retry state. It will stop and not continue if any component is not set up.